Hi, my name's Mike Morrison. I'm an inventor. I've been developing technology for about 20 years and I've developed a number of composting techniques. This particular one's called the biofuel cell, and what I've decided to do with this is to donate all the proceeds from it to educating children all around the world. So I just want to show you the actual kit itself and show you how simple it is. It comes in a nice little flat pack that you can carry away in your car. We just open the packet up, and the actual outside packaging is also used as part of the kit. This is an interior liner. There's all the parts. There's a plastic sleeve that's UV stabilised. It'll last for 5 years, and these are all the internal workings. Now the way you start off is very simple. You just fold this container in like that. You open your plastic sleeve, which is very easy. So we put that in, straighten the box out, and then fold the box into a square. We now actually just fold the top edge of the plastic over like that. Then we take our inner liner, we make it into a triangle so it's easy to slip in, and then we just fold it out like that. Now that plastic inner sleeve is going to give the box a lot of stability and protection. We then come back to the top of the box, pull the plastic bag up and fold it into the middle. So now we have a container. And all you do is take it over close to your garden. You actually put it in your garden. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a garden around this. So you can have 2 meters around your garden. And I'll show you at the end how we extend this into the garden. But right now all we do is we put the biofuel cell on the ground. And why we put it in the garden is that there are already bacteria in the soil. And we want the native bacteria that live in your area. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to farm all those worms and bacteria that live underneath the soil. So the simplicity of it is, we have these plates. Now these plates, we're going to put the kitchen scraps in, then we're going to put one of these plates on top of it. Then we're going to put this little air tube, and it's got a little channel across in there where the air flows down, and it's got holes on the side where the air goes out, so that our compost is going to be very well aerated. So here we have a typical lot of kitchen scraps. The biofuel cell is designed to work with kitchen scraps. It's not about your bulk lawn clippings and all of those other materials. There's other systems for doing that. You can compost them in it, but this is more specifically designed for the hard materials to compost, the kitchen scraps, which are a little bit more difficult. So it's a very simple process. We now first of all take one of these little breathing tubes that has the air pipe going down through the middle. So now we're going to place the first one of these breathing pipes just underneath, and we're going to let it stick outside, and what that means is that the fresh air from outside can go into the container. And also when you're composting you get a lot of gases that come off, and some of them are heavier than air, so they're going to want to escape through that little tube. The next part we're going to have is a ladder, which is actually used in the side to allow the air to travel up and down the side of the container. So we're going to place that vertically in the container, and that allows the air to travel up and down and feed air into the horizontal tubes, which sit across like that, and we just put them inside. As simple as that. And we use this little bio fork, which is a very good tool for handling soil and compost, because it doesn't get your hands dirty, it's very easy to clean, and it doesn't kill the worm. We spread that material out, and then we place our breathing tube. It stops the water. This material is all very wet, and when it gets hot it'll go up to about 70 degrees and the steam will start rising. The steam rises up, and it's actually going to be stopped from evaporating out of the container by this sheet of cardboard, and that also stops your compost from smelling. And it also has a little bit of carbon, which the worms love, that help to make a better mix in your compost bin. We have little holes here because we have to have some hot air rising. It has to be able to get out. So that keeps it working, and the hot air rising works like a pump. We have the ladder with its slots in the back, and that goes down the side, and then we put in our sheet of cardboard. And then we place another horizontal breathing tube on top of that. And now we're ready to load the next load of compost. But while we're waiting for the next lot of compost to be ready, we just cover this with a little lid, and that makes it so it's a bit of a barrier for the birds and for the visual observation of what's going on inside the bin. It also means that the water, when the rain comes, it's good to let the rain just go over your compost, but it pushes the rain to the sides, and the rain just goes down the inner side wall of the compost so it doesn't get too wet. But because the water is flowing down the side, it means that if the compost is a little bit dry, it can take up some of that water and allow it to track in so it doesn't dry out. And the idea of the biofuel cell is that we never have to turn our compost. And that's one of the problems when you're composting kitchen scraps. So this material is going to be composted in here. It's easy for the children to do because they don't have to get their hands messy or exposed. We're just going to leave it in there. It's never going to be turned, and it's going to be just leveled out when it's finished and turned back into a garden space. But the biofuel kit is specifically designed for children. The children are really where we have to invest our time for the future. And what we're all about here is growing fresh vegetables at home from the scrapings off your dinner plate. So we want to empower the children to know how to do this, because it means that they have beautiful, healthy, fresh vegetables for the rest of their life. So as you've seen, we put that first layer of material in, we put a lid down, and the bin's fairly low at the moment, so we're just putting that in to protect the top of it and let the water shed off to the sides. And then when you're ready to load your next collection of kitchen scraps, you take the lid out. You've got your breather tube, which we placed on top of the cardboard. Kitchen scraps. You can put whole vegetables like that. I've even put a whole pumpkin that's gone off. You don't actually have to cut anything up. The worms will actually break it down. And in fact, because it's so coarse, it actually allows it to get very hot very quickly because there's a lot of air gaps in there. And that's a big part of how you can actually infuse more air into the system more quickly. And once again, we can use this very handy little bio fork. We level out the material. We put in another insulation plate, and you can make these cardboard plates up out of any old cardboard box, just so long as you use that formula with those little holes, because that allows it to work like a pump. And that hot air rising here pulls the air through there, and it's a very powerful pump. It's like you had an electric motor in there, but you don't actually need any electricity. It actually just works off nature itself. So the next stage, remember, is we put another plate on there. Now, just to let you know how good this is, I'm actually going to show you a really clever little trick. And what we want to do is we want to try and teach children to grow giant vegetables. And the magic of growing giant vegetables is fish. And what I'm going to show you, this compost bin is so efficient and it doesn't give off much steam, so it keeps all that odour controlled in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can actually compost fish. You might not want to start this when you first have a go at it. You probably just want to use your kitchen scraps to start with. But as you get a bit more experienced, and the beauty of putting fish into your compost, the American Indians used to always bury a fish underneath their corn, and it was a tradition they had for many years. And that actually enabled them to grow very sustainable, very healthy corn. So I'm going to show you that now. Now, we all know how great it is to have a lovely meal of fish, but we throw all the good parts away. We throw all the bones, and we've taken that fish's life, so we shouldn't waste this. We shouldn't throw it in the rubbish bin. All you fishermen out there, this is the first compost bin that you can actually turn all your fish scraps into fresh vegetables in the backyard. So I just want to show you, I've just been to the local fish shop and I've got this fish for nothing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop it up. Just going to break it up into some bits. You want to break this down fairly well. I'm only going to do it to that level just to illustrate the point to you. But when you do it, you want to break it down as small as you possibly can. Even put it through a mincer if you like. Then what you're going to need is you're going to need some wood chip. Some reasonably fine sawdust. And you make it a rather generous layer. And what you have to do then is spread it out to the sides so that the wood chip covers the whole area. Cover it out to the sides, And you can see how deep that is. It's about 2 or 3 inches deep. Now what happens is when you use wood chips with your fish, you won't get any smell. So you then just take your fish scraps and place your fish right in the middle. But remember, suggesting to you that you don't really want to put it in a big lump like that. You actually want to chop it up as small as you can. The next thing you want to do is you want to take some more of your kitchen scraps, not too much, and just put some more kitchen scraps in with it. But you want the kitchen scraps in there because they actually give you another type of bacteria that will go in and help the breakdown. And what you're actually doing here is you're farming the bacteria and the worms and the fungi in the soil. So this is going to make your compost really supercharged and grow beautiful vegetables. Then we just take another generous serving of wood chips. Now you want a really good layer of wood chips on top. You want to have a layer about that deep on top because that's going to protect all that moisture as it comes out. It's going to condense in there. It's going to keep the fish wet and it's going to stop the odour from coming out. So you pack it right round to the side. So now we've just levelled this out and make sure we level it right to the sides. And the idea of the wood chips is that's what stops your smell. So you can use sawdust or wood chips, but you need it to be reasonably fine. You can't use very coarse wood. Then you put your cardboard insulation plate on top. This is going to get very hot. Your fish is going to go up to about 70 or 80 degrees, so it's going to pasteurise it. Then you get ready to put your next layer of material on top. And if you want to, a way of increasing the speed of making your compost is you can put a second breathing pipe across that way, so that you've now got the air travelling in 2 different directions. Now what I recommend is when you're doing fish, don't just leave it with a layer of sawdust on top, put another layer of your kitchen scraps on top, because what that's doing is that's like a heat pump on top which is helping to pull the air through your fish. So we would now get another layer of kitchen scraps. Here I'm just using lettuce leaves. And you might think that normally when you're instructed how to make compost, you normally have to do it with layers of wood chip and all of those sorts of things. With the biofuel cell, you don't have to do that because you're not going to turn it or anything. You're just going to let nature do its job. And when you put these kitchen scraps in there, they're going to get up to about 70 degrees. They're going to get very hot because they're very wet and they're the perfect conditions for the microbes. And what's going to happen with that is the water is going to come off. If you imagine having a slow cooker on your stove at 70 degrees and you put your kitchen scraps in there, they're going to disappear in a few days because that's what happens. If you try it, you'll see. So what's going to happen is all that water is going to drain right out. It's going to go back into your garden soil, and the worms are going to be sitting underneath this biofuel cell, drinking up all that goodness and taking it back into your garden. So we've put another layer of this on top of your fish material, and then what we're going to do is put another one of our cardboard. You always put a cardboard on top of your material, and that stops the material from drying out and it keeps it insulated from the outside. Then we put our lid back on, and now you can leave that. And in about 2 months, this material will have completely broken down into a beautiful soil. Now, a very important thing to let you know is that you can use your eggshells in the garden. It's often a good idea if you break them up a little bit more than they come out of the kitchen. That just helps them to have a little bit more surface area so the worms can get at them a bit better. Now, they don't tend to break down in the soil very quickly, but they provide a lot of calcium and goodness. All the protein that's in the white of the egg and the skin of the egg is all very good. And by putting it into the compost bin, you're not putting it in your rubbish bin, which means that if you put all your kitchen scraps in your rubbish bin, you don't have to collect the rubbish so frequently, so the councils can pick up your rubbish once a fortnight instead of once a week. Now that can save the landfill, and that can save the ratepayers millions of dollars per year. They estimate in Australia it's about $800 million you can save when you do all the calculations on the things that you don't have to do if you collect your rubbish fortnightly and you don't put any kitchen scraps in there. Now what I'm going to do is we've got the compost that's been made for about 3 months. The longer you leave your compost, the more mature it's going to be, and the more it's going to have cultivated worms, and the worms are going to have matured. So the longer you can leave it, the better. And I always recommend people to have 2 biofuel cells. You might just want to have a look at it from time to time and see how mature it looks, and you use the biofork to do that. You don't handle anything in the compost bin. You just lift the lid out, and then you just go in and you just check your compost. So what we do now is we just slide that off. Now you can see there how beautiful this has all turned out. This is after 3 months. Now if you leave that, you can leave that as long as you want. You don't have to use it now. You could leave it another 3 months if you wanted to. But basically it's very, very simple now to be able to make a garden out of this. Across the garden plot, you can leave your biofuel forks in, or you can take them away. You can undo the rubber bands, take them apart and wash them and clean them. Now once you've spread all this material out, a beautiful way to make a garden bed, you don't want this material to dry out. If you leave that exposed on the ground, the birds are going to come and have a field day with all those lovely worms that you can see. Now the beauty of the biofork is it doesn't kill worms. That's why it's such a very valuable tool. So you can see your worms there. When I cover the garden, I like to use a little bit of fine wood mulch or even old composted mulch and put that down first. Put that down as a layer. And then what I like to do is to get some coarser material with plenty of leaves in it. And you're going to spread that all over the top. And you can spread that pretty deep. You can actually spread that so that it's about 2 or 3 inches, up to about 4 inches deep. So you can make it about that deep if you want to. And then when you're going to plant plants, you've got to make sure that you get back to the soil and you plant your plants in the soil. You don't plant the plants in the wood chip, you plant them underneath. Now the beauty of having wood chips around your compost bin and on your garden bed is that the worms like to travel underneath because it's lovely and moist underneath there, and the bacteria in the soil is going to start breaking down that compost, that wood chip, and turn it into a beautiful soil. And over time this is all going to become a lovely soil, but it's even more important than that. There's a chap who shows you on Back to Eden gardening technique where he just grows in wood chip, and it's a very interesting video to watch if you'd like to watch that. But what happens is that this wood chip is like how nature does it underneath a tree. It drops its leaves and little twigs and branches, and they all break down to become one of the most effective sponges on earth. They have the ability to hold water, so that if you have a flood, it will release the water out, but if you have a drought, it will hold the water. It's quite incredible how it is able to adjust to both circumstances. And so in the garden, it's an incredibly valuable tool, and particularly in a school, where you don't want to have to be coming out and weeding it, or if you're on school holidays, you don't want to have somebody come over and water your garden, and your garden will stay looking great right through that whole period. Now the biofork is another one of my inventions, and it was designed so that it's ergonomic. It's the same action. If any animal goes to dig, they dig with that action, which is using your body muscles in the right way. And things like wombats can dig huge holes with just a small prong on the end of their paw that they dig all the soil out. So this is designed around how nature does digging. And the beauty of it is that when you've got these fine tips like that, you don't actually kill any of the worms in the soil. But the other thing that's really important is there are a lot of fungi in the soil, and they send out little roots which go right down to the base of the soil, and they bring up all the trace elements, and they actually travel into the root of the plant, and they exchange the sunlight that comes down as sugars from the sun in the leaves of the plants, and they bring the trace elements up from underneath. Now the way nature has designed it, it doesn't like too much disturbance in those fungi. It doesn't want to break all those little lines. It's like coming out and cutting your telephone line. So that's the way that all these little biological animals in the soil communicate with each other. And what happens with these roots of the mushrooms is they travel from one plant to another, so they're a great communication system. So this little fork, it's the most useful tool. You can use it for just about any job you want to do. So if you come along and you've got weeds, you can just go in and lift the weeds out. You can see how effective that is. You can just lift all the weeds out, and you can see with this oxalis you get a lot of bulbs and things like that. You're not actually breaking them up too much, so a lot of the bulbs stay on the actual root of the plant, and then you can actually do a bit of raking like that, so you can separate all of the weeds out from the soil. And you can actually dig very deep with these. They're really quite amazing how you can loosen the soil right down, and you can bring out all those bulbs from underneath. And you see how we've done that. Now we can work that soil over many times and bring all of those plants back up to the surface, and they of course can go into our compost bin. So you can see there how we've actually got all the soil out of that. Isn't that a great way of doing your gardening? Now if you're going to plant seeds, you can just make a little furrow, just make a little trench, sprinkle your seeds along that, and then you just come back and backfill. You can get right in around your plants. You can get right in close to the plant without disturbing the plant root, and you can pull all those things up. You can also use it like a pair of chopsticks and pick up pieces of rubbish. I've got a stinging nettle in here, and if you just touch any part of that, that's going to burn your skin. So with the biofork, we can just get underneath that plant. We can lift it out just like that. So that's pulled that out, roots and all, without any effort. Now when we've got weeds like this growing close to the plant, we don't want to disturb the plant. So we can just get in there with the biofork, and it's as simple as that, just to take those weeds out without any damage to the rest of the plants. And just gather those up and pull them out. And see how easy that is to do. And then you can push the soil back in around the plant, and then you can come along and put some more goodies around there. Very simple. So that's the biofork, an incredibly useful tool. It takes place of a shovel, a spade, all those little tools that you would use in your garden. One tool does the whole lot. And the proceeds from this tool are actually used to raise funds to educate our children. So our mission is to teach children how to grow beautiful fresh vegetables. They can come out in the garden and eat these vegetables fresh off the plant. And that's another thing to know, is that when you eat a plant, if you want to know about this information, in nature even pollutes the water. Water gets dirty even in nature. And what happens is plants are actually a way of purifying water. We go to the supermarket and buy a bottle of water, but nature has the same mechanism, and what it does is it treats the water inside the plant, and it actually is a fourth dimensional water called H3O2, and you can actually look that up now, and all the science is around to explain that to you. And this water is the water that hydrates the cells inside your body. It's the most valuable water you can eat, and it's important to eat it very soon after you've picked the plant. You don't want to leave it too long. And what happens is, it's like if somebody dies and you see what happens to their blood, it coagulates and it changes its state. Well, the same thing happens in the water in the plant. The longer you leave it, if you're getting it from the supermarket, you're not getting as much of that H3O2 benefit from the water as you are as if you grow it in the garden. But not only that, we've taken the scrapings off our dinner plate, which are for nothing. They're the most expensive part of your shopping list because you've done everything to them. And you've actually taken those scrapings and you've turned them into tomorrow night's dinner. How good does that get? You don't have to go to the shops to buy the material. You've got it right in your own garden, and you can eat it as fresh as you want to. You can just go and pick it and eat it. I have lettuce leaves for breakfast every morning because they are really, really healthy for you. Lettuce is one of the most important plants, particularly when you get older, because it helps you to keep better oxygen in your bloodstream. Now here's a very handy thing that the biofork does for you. Oftentimes your plants get root bound, they get really locked into the pot. And all you have to do, you don't have to disturb the plant, you just push it into the pot like that and you can pull your plant out. As easy as that. And if it's really root bound, it'll just come out in one clump and then you can loosen all the roots ready for planting. Very useful. Now, if you don't have a garden outside and you live in a little apartment house in the city, you still have sunlight. And sunlight is your free lunch. Everybody says there's no free lunch, but let me tell you, you've got the scrapings off your dinner plate, you've got the biofuel cell, you've got the biofork, and now all you need is a little tray, seedling tray, that you can actually start to grow things in the front window. So you can take your biofuel cell soil that you've made, which is really richer than soil, it's actually a plant growth activator. So you've made this wonderful rich material and you can put it in trays and you can grow fresh lettuce, you can mix all your herbs together, you can put beetroot, you can do all of those types of things. And what you can do is when they grow up to about 3 or 4 inches high, you can just cut them off and have them like a fresh salad. So you can constantly grow your vegetables anywhere you like. So you'd take a tray like this, you'd fill it with your material, you can mix a little bit of soil with it. It's best if you mix a bit of soil and a bit of sand with your material that comes out of the biofuel cell, because it is very rich. So you only need about 1/4 of that material and you mix it with a little bit of old soil, or you can mix it with some sand, some potting mix, and just put that nutrient in there. And then you take your seeds And here I'm just putting in some basil seeds. I'm going to start some early basil, which I'm going to start off in sunlight so that I've got beautiful basil early in the season. So even if you're going to work in the garden, you can still use trays and you can start off your plants early to make most of your garden growing season. So a wonderful way, if you don't have a garden, you've got no excuse still to have beautiful fresh fruit and vegetables with H3O2 water in them. That is going to give you the best health benefits you can ever get, and they come for free. Now we all go to the shops and pay a lot of money for special fancy fertilisers to grow our plants. But the best fertiliser you can make and the cheapest fertiliser is right under your nose. And what I'm going to show you to do today is how to make your own biofuel tea with a biofuel cell tea bag. This is a biofuel cell tea bag, and it's actually a UV stabilised plastic that will last for about 5 years. It comes with a little piece of string, and you just tie off the end, wrap it round 2 or 3 times, tie that so it's easy to undo again, tie it tight, we don't want any air to come out, tie one end off, open the bag up. Now when you think about it, animals all eat grass, right? So all of the animal manure that we love to use in our gardens comes from the grass. But if we take the grass direct from the lawn, we get all the goodness instead of giving it to the animal to eat. So we've got a lot more nutrients in our ingredients. And what we're going to do is use the sunlight to break it down. And we've made a clear plastic bag so that the photons, the light, which is actually the thing that grows all the plants in the world, it also can break down this nutrient in the grass and turn it into a beautiful black liquid. And that's tea for your plants. That's a very nutritious drink for your plants. It's a very good idea when you're making compost tea to do it, mow your lawn up when it's wet, when you can still mow it, when it's not too wet that you can't catcher it, or a couple of catcher loads into your plastic biofuel cell tea bag. Now you can fill it up as much as you like. I usually fill it about 1/3 of the way. And then what you do is you pour in 4 litres of water. You put in 4 or 5 litres of water, quite a lot of water in with it. And then you simply tie off the other end. Tie it off just the same way as you did with the first end. Smell then. If you don't seal the bag off, you can get some odour, and it becomes quite strong odorous smell. So that's all you do, and you leave it in a nice sunny spot, and once a week you come over and turn it around. Just make sure that there's no nails in the grass so that you don't puncture your bag, because you can keep using this for 5 or 6 years. Now what I'm going to show you is what it looks like. It will rot down into that beautiful black tea. All that material in that bag has reduced down to that small quantity of concentrated black tea. Now this tea is the most useful material you can use in your garden. You just open your bag out and you soak that with a lot of water. You would put that into about 100 litres or 200 litres of water, and you're just going to use that to water your plants. Now your lawn clipping tea, you can use weeds in your lawn clipping, you can use any plants that are around the garden. When it comes time to add water to it, you can also add some of your old compost as well. Some of your compost out of your biofuel cell you can put in with this, and then strain the solids off and use that as a tea. So you would mix that about 200 litres of water from one of these bags of tea. Now, the only ingredient that I think you need to add to it, we make this, which is biofuel cell kelp. So we make this product, and all of these products are sold through the schools to raise money to help educate our children. We give the funds to the principal of the school so that he can use the money where it's needed. So the profit from these all goes to educating our children. But this material is kelp, and in this case it's beautiful rich Tasmanian kelp. And kelp is a supercharged material for helping the growth of plants. It has lots of growth enhancing materials in it, and you only use about a teaspoonful in the 200 or 300 litres of water. So this container will last you about a year. We put a couple of other little ingredients in it. We put a little bit of phosphate rock, and we put a little bit of zeolite in there. Now those materials combined make the perfect balance. That just fortifies this material so it's got everything it needs. So with the combination of the biofuel cell tea bag and your bio kelp, And then you can put this material, which you can see when it's diluted. The actual seaweed also, when you spray it onto the plant, it actually puts a little bit of stickiness in the materials. And these materials aren't like fertilizers, they're actually activators. So you only need very minute amounts to trigger the biology in the soil and to help with that process that all the fungi and all the bacteria and all the living organisms that are in the soil are doing all the work for you. They're actually a tremendous gift. It's a free workforce for you, and it's doing all the work underneath the soil. And then when you eat these vegetables, you're getting the absolute maximum out of it because you eat them fresh. When you spray your plant, you spray down, but you also spray up. And that material will stick to the leaf of the plant. Because it's got the kelp in there, when it dries out, it will actually stay on the plant, and gradually it'll work its way down the plant and go into the roots of the soil. So the plant can utilise it. It can absorb those trace elements and minerals off the surface of the plant. If you want to make a slightly more concentrated material, you can use 1 teaspoon to 5 litres of water. And that's for spraying all your household plants and all your little plants around the house. And you can just have a handy little spray like this, spray down and spray up. Okay, now we understand that these cardboard sheets are very important with the little holes in them, because they trap the moisture underneath and they insulate the temperature, so your bin gets very hot, and it allows you to stack these 100 ml layers of kitchen scraps one after the other. But after you've used it, they all break down and there's nothing left. They become biodegradable, so you'll want to get some more. Now you can either keep one and make a stencil and cut it out of old cardboard boxes, or we will sell you refills if you want them in packs of 10. So you can buy a pack of 10 refills, and all the profits from that goes to help support the school. So you're welcome to do that, and you're also welcome to use up all your old cardboard boxes. But you just got to remember to cut those little holes in there, because that keeps the pump going. And the same with the breather tubes. Sometimes when you use them, if you want to be a bit economical, you just use 1. But if you want to make your compost go really fast, you use 2. So what we've done is we've put you a basic set of these in with your bin when you buy it. But when you want to buy more, if you want to buy a pack, you can actually buy another pack of 10. So you can buy multiples of them. You can buy them on their own. You can also use these in your ordinary compost bins to help them work. You can use the same technique in your existing compost bin. So it's not precious about how we do it, but this is just really a free gift to you to show you how you can actually really make super biofuel cell ingredients for your garden, and you can grow these beautiful fresh vegetables at your garden door. But the proceeds from these sales go to help raise money for school. Now, something very interesting to talk about that most people don't like talking about, and that's mice and rats. And you've got mice and rats around your house whether you like it or not, but the problem is you don't know where they are, and most of them live in the house. And what happens is a lot of house fires are actually started because they gnaw at your wiring inside your house. So it's a very good idea to be able to trap them and know how many rats and mice there are. It's not such a good idea to trap them in the walls of the house, because if they die there, they end up smelling inside the house. But because you've got a biofuel outside, the mice will be curious and they will come out. And in the beginning, particularly when the bin's starting to heat up, it gives off a little bit of odour and it attracts them. So that's a great place to set your traps for your mice and rats. There's 2 things that happen. One is you get to find out whether you've got any, and if you're a hunter or a fisherman, baiting the animal is the hardest thing to do. So we've got a little bit of an attraction which takes the mice and rats out of the house, and it puts them in a location where you can actually trap them. Now, when you set your trap, the mice and rats are very sensitive to the smell of your hands, so they know the smell of your hands is on it. So what I do is I set my trap, I put it inside a cardboard box, and then what I do is I sprinkle coffee ground, because that camouflages the smell. And mice and rats, funnily enough, love walking through coffee grounds. So you can set up a whole series of traps in an area inside a cardboard box and have a little opening for them to walk in here. And all you need to do is put your baited traps there and surround them by some coffee. You've camouflaged the smell, you've also camouflaged the trap. Let them be a bit moist, because then they're actually giving off a little bit more odour. And that you'll see the footprints where they walk around. I accidentally discovered this. I spread some coffee grounds out on the ground, and then I found all the footprints of the mice and rats. And the other thing that's interesting, if you put it outside the box and all around, you'll actually get an idea of how many mice and rats there are, because you'll see how dense the footprints are. So it's a bit like an Aboriginal tracker. You can actually start to get a bit more of an understanding of what's happening with the vermin around your house. So instead of it being a negative that these compost bins, and goes for any compost bin, has a bit of a tendency to draw vermin, well, you can use it to your advantage to get rid of the mice and rats out of your house so that they don't cause damage in there or die in the house when you trap them.
Cinevision, making life easier.